a season where it's hard to let go of certain people, it's hard to let go of certain things, or you just find yourself doing the same patterns again and again, even though you know deep down you shouldn't be doing those things, you just find yourself feeling like you can't stop and you don't know why.
Some tears, some stress, but I count my blessings.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Ashley and I love making videos similar to this one, but I also do fashion content, travel vlogs, etc. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, I hope you subscribe, become part of the fam. It's free, so what are you waiting for? LOL. But stay tuned for today's video and let's just get right into it. So I really wanted to preface this video by saying a lot of my videos are not just simply videos to share for advice to others, but it's a look into my own reality, into my own life, so that I can look back and watch myself and take my own advice, you know? So I really just want to preference with that. Number one, this is not a judgment zone. This is just a zone where I'm sharing some things that I'm learning, some advice, and taking it as much as I am giving it out. So that's number one. And number two is I just really want to focus on if you feel like you're in a season where it's hard to let go of certain people, it's hard to let go of certain things, or you just find yourself doing the same patterns again and again. So if you're in that type of season, this video is for you. But if you may not feel like you resonate with that heavily, still feel free to watch this video because it may help someone else. Or unfortunately, if you do find yourself in a season like this, you'll know some practical things to do, because you never know what may come in the future. So let's get right into it. So I mentioned about particularly letting people go, right? It's so easy for us to be told, let them go, don't look back, or you shouldn't be doing this, right? It's so easy to say these things, but the truth comes from actually how do we now obtain it? How do we truly let someone go? How do we truly stop doing the things that we know we shouldn't be doing, but we just keep falling into that same pattern, and next thing you know, we're in a loop and we've feel like we can't even get out because we're so far gone. So I want to talk about some practical ways on how to actually be helpful for these type of seasons. Number one, you must forgive yourself. I know this may sound a bit like, okay, basic rule of letting things go, of getting over certain things, forgive yourself. But I do want to go a little bit more into detail, just kind of giving some guidance on how to start that process. Because once again, I know being told to forgive yourself can sound so simple, but it can actually be so difficult to do. So one of my personal favorites is when those negative thoughts try to come into my mind from things that I've done or just the betrayal and hurt from others, I immediately make a space and time where I can now spend with myself. So I set a timer, minimum 3 minutes. Of course, sometimes it may go longer than this, but I really try to set a timer for a minimum of 3 minutes. If I'm like not able to like close my eyes and really center, I still set a timer in my car, and in that session, in that time, whatever time I've put, I play some gospel music, I play some affirmations. I really just get into a presence of like uplifting words, uplifting lyrics, of uplifting message. Again, that could be in the form of a song, that could be in the form of an affirming podcast, that could be maybe just a voice note from a friend that they sent you a while back and it was just really encouraging. Whatever it may be, I create a space that's very affirming and I can listen in. Also, my love language is words of affirmation, so hence this is kind of why I use a lot of audios. But I feel like it still can work even if your love language personally isn't words of affirmation. So once I have the audio going, I personally affirm myself to knowing like, okay, I am not defined by those things. I can feel the weight of my emotions letting go of that treatment that I normally would have given myself because of these emotions. I know that I am not my past. past things that I've done or the past things that's been done to me. And you know, I even try to give myself a nice hug, really taking some deep breaths and releasing it. As you start creating spaces like this, the easier it is going to be to forgive yourself. It's not going to happen overnight, but what's going to happen is you're now creating a foundation of a safe space. You're now creating a foundation of a gentle care for yourself. Look at it as how you would treat a friend, how you would treat a sibling, etc. Right? If they're coming to you with some really hard things, most likely you won't be mean to them or make them feel worse. You're going to offer up a safe space for them to cry, for them to yell, whatever the case may be. So give that to yourself. Create safe spaces within you, gentle spaces where when those thoughts, those negative, memories try to fade back into your brain, you now know, okay, let's set a timer. Let's get into a safe space. Let's give ourselves a hug. Let us tell and remind ourselves we are not the past mistakes we've made or the past mistakes of those that we've loved and care about. And so again, just doing this anytime those negative thoughts came, it really just offered in a way to love myself through it all, through my flaws, and just a way to be gentle with myself. And I realized again, we all have trauma. I would love to say that once you get through something, it's never gonna try to come back into your mind, but that's just not the truth. You can get through certain things and then the devil, just negative emotions flood you. And so when that happens, I highly suggest just putting a timer on 3 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever it may be that you need to get to yourself. Put on a nice song, again, or a video message that somebody sent you previously that's just really affirming. And just remind yourself that it's okay, that you're not the past mistakes nor the past mistakes of others. So that's number one. Now, number two on truly letting go, number two on to stop doing the things in which you shouldn't be doing, is simply everything that looks good is not good. Everything that looks good is not good. And I feel like some of us may have heard this before, but I really want to dig into this with an example of how sometimes we can find ourselves praying for certain things because we're in the midst of a storm, or we're in the midst of just so much turmoil, it feels like. And so we can find ourselves just praying for peace in the chaos. A great example of this is certain toxic relationships. This person deep down isn't someone that you should be with, but you love them, you care so deeply about them, and so you find yourself praying God, please let them change, please let them start going to church with me. You just start praying that they become this dream version of a partner that you believe they could be. And so what tends to happen is when you now walk away because things aren't changing, right? Because ultimately a person's only going to change if they want to change. So when you now walk away because you're okay, I'm at my all-time low, I'm done. And you go through this season of healing, healing from the very thing that was breaking you. And now a month later, 3 months later, even a year later or more, this person reappears into your life. And it seems as if it's too good. They, are stating that they've changed. You're just saying all the right things. It's oh my gosh, this is literally giving me a visual, it seems like, of everything that I prayed for. And it can be tempting to want to open up that door again and invite this person into your life. But the truth is, if God has told you a no, it's a no. No matter how we try to twist it, form it, it's a no. And that's something that I really had to learn the hard way, is that God is not a God of jokes. God is not a God of tricks. Okay, if he closed that door, if he said, nope, this isn't about to go down, it's not going to go down. One verse that I really love is James chapter 1, verse 13 through 15. And it talks about how do not let yourself say, oh, why is God tempting me? For God is not a God that is tempted through evil, nor will God tempt others. I'm gonna grab my phone because I really want to read it word for word, but I really do love that verse. So we have the phone now, lol, and I'm reading through the Message translation, but it says, don't let anyone under pressure to give in to evil say, God is trying to trip me up. God is impervious to evil and puts evil in no one's way. The temptation to give in to evil comes from us and us only. We have no one to blame, but the leering, seducing flare up of our own lust. Lust gets pregnant and has a baby, which is sin. Sin grows up to be an adult and becomes a real killer. And I'm reading the book of James, and so hence that verse came up, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I really needed this, because I remember literally praying to God. I was like, God, like, why do you keep tempting me with these people? Like, why do you keep bringing these people back into my life after I cut them off? Like, just let them never come back into my life, because I think that, you know, maybe they change, and then I give them a chance again, and then it just never works out. And this verse was so humbling, because it's like, girl, that's not of God. Like, God doesn't tempt you. If God told you a no, it's a no now, and it's a no, it was a no then, and it's a no now. Like, it's not switching up. And so again, I have to be reminded, like, not everything that looks good is good. And sometimes we can get so caught up again and thinking like, oh, well, this is what I've been praying for, when it's like, no, if God told you a no, if God closed that door, it was for a reason. Don't go back. Don't allow now the devil to try to come in and tempt you with the very thing that you thought you wanted, when deep down you know God removed those people, those things for a reason, you know. And also, don't get confused with, you know, God saying not yet. There are moments, yes, where there's certain things God is saying, nope, I want you to continue to develop, I want to work some things within you, and then, you know, when the timing is right, I'll open that door. But when you know deep down God is calling you and telling you, no, this is not where I want you to be, this is not, you know, what is leading you to your purpose or your potential, then you must walk away, because you know ultimately how it's going to end. Those just people that you surround yourself with, that ultimately brings out the worst in you. Like, ultimately you leave their presence like doing things you said you wouldn't do. You're back to drinking, you're back to cursing, you're back to having sex, whatever, and you're like, I said I wasn't gonna be doing this, but I've fallen into thinking like, oh, things had changed. And so, you know, really get into a presence of understanding that if God closed it, if God said a no, it was a no then, and it's a no now. Number 3 on letting them go, letting go of that thing that you feel like you just can't get over or you keep falling into, is really asking yourself, is it worth it? One metaphor I love to use is, I don't know if I was reading a book or someone told me this, I really can't remember, but basically it was a story of a woman who, you know, now died and goes to heaven, and she's with this angel, and they walk by a filing cabinet, and it has her name on it. And so of course she stops and she's like, wait, what's this filing cabinet? And he's like, oh. So he opens it and he pulls out this file cabinet with all these different files, and he simply says, oh, these are all the blessings that God wanted to give you, but you blocked them. And I remember like hearing that, and even now I just get chills, like, woof. Imagine, like, you see all these blessings that God wanted to give you, but so often we block them. And we block them by not trusting God. We block them by thinking our way is better, we're gonna do it our own way, and ultimately we always fail. Ultimately we always lead into farther temptation and to farther just away from God. And so again, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I had to really ask myself this, you know, multiple times, because I'm a little bit hard-headed, and I was like, you know, is it really worth it? Are they really worth it? Like, worth your purpose, worth your potential, worth where God is trying to call you? And I always dig deep and I say, like, no, they're not. And I have to say, like, I have to let go. Is it going to be difficult? Yes, because again, there's a part of you that care for this person. You know, this person may not be like a horrible, just outright bad person, But again, you know if this person is really good for your soul, if they're really meant to go to where you are about to go or not. And I challenge, you to ask yourself that. Again, if you find yourself doing things that you said you wouldn't do again and again, or like finding it hard to let go of those people that you know shouldn't be in your life, like really ask yourself, like, are they worth it? Because for me, they're not. They're not worth where God is calling me to be. They're not worth his purpose, his potential, my potential. Um, it's just not worth it. So I highly suggest that you dig into that and like let that resonate. Now, number 4 on letting them go, how to stop doing the things that you know you shouldn't be doing or just falling into those same patterns, is don't look back. Don't look back. I know that again, we can think that, oh, look at what they're doing, like, and we can start comparing ourselves and thinking about the old versions of ourselves and kind of have this like, woe me. Don't look back. Another key thing too is don't mistake peace with boredom. Okay, because sometimes you just haven't had true peace, so now you feeling this like really just peaceful life, so it seems boring. It's like, wait, I need something to happen. Don't confuse a peaceful life with a boring life. And so yeah, back to the initial point is don't look back. Keep moving forward. Know where God is calling you. Know that this is where he is wanting you to be. Lot's wife in the Bible, they both were told don't look back. God gave them pretty much one instruction. And I want to say one simple instruction, but sometimes we can be in the same boat and it feels like the hardest instruction. But he simply tells them, keep going. If you look back, the instant you look back, you would turn into a pillar of salt. And so, they do just what God says and they're going. And then Lot's wife, she looks back. And just as God says, she turns into a pillar of salt. And so I just want to highly encourage somebody, like, don't look back. Don't get so caught up in what your old life was, thinking that you're missing out. Because the truth is you're not. God has you where you are today for a reason. And you are meant to be exactly where he's placed you. So again, don't think that like certain things that you see, the world is doing as if like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be, because the truth is it's not. And again, I can raise my hand. I could testify real quick that I used to be that way. Like, oh, one foot in the world and one foot out and one foot in for God. And it always failed. It never works, because the truth is I was trying to use worldly things, people, drinking, etc., to fill this void inside of me, when the truth is nothing's going to fill that void but God. And I didn't really realize that until I really surrender it all. Like, I'm talking about surrendering it all, not just the like, oh, here, this is the part that I want you to do. No, but surrendering it all to God. The messy, the ugly, the not so pretty parts, all of it. And now I've come to such a fulfillment. I've come to such a contentment life. Is it always, beautiful and rainbows and sunshines? Absolutely not. But like I said again, it's just so much of a better peace that I feel, a better contentment that I know that God has me no matter what, versus when I was trying to do things on my own. Because the truth is, again, I cannot live this thing called life without God. God is the reason why I'm here today. God is the reason why, I have not, gone into certain, like, straight paths that I could have. Like, it's nobody but God. And so, I don't want this to come off like, oh, she's preaching. But hey, if it's resonating with somebody, it's resonating with somebody. I just really want to share, because again, like, I can't stress this enough. I have done it. I've tried to do things on my own accord. I tried to keep the people in my life that I know deep down like shouldn't be. I talked to guys that I knew wasn't husband material at all, but I was like, oh, it's okay. Like, I'm just gonna entertain them. I'm just gonna talk to them. Like, I definitely done things that I knew I shouldn't be doing, but I'm like, oh, but it's fun. Like, ugh, the thing that you look back on and you're like, poor me, my younger self. But again, it all brought me to who I am today, the woman I am today. So I give myself grace and I forgive her. But I say all that to say this video is simply, again, not a judgment zone. It's just an inviting zone for those that really just need some guidance, need some advice on letting go and to stop doing those things that feel so hard to stop doing, or you do really well and then you're back to those same patterns. I don't know what exactly you may be struggling with, but I do take time that this video was really just helpful. You know, we came sweet and simple, straight to the point, but again, I hope this video was really just impactful for those that really needed it. Give yourself grace, you know, forgive yourself, and know that it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy to walk away for certain things, especially habits that we've created and built, but it's going to be so much better when we really surrender our lives to God. And you know, another thing too is God is not telling us, oh, you know, want like let go of this person, stop doing this thing, because he wants us to live an evil life. That's another thing that I feel like unbelievers try to say, like, oh, y'all have so many rules, y'all have so many rules. But the truth is, like, through God, you find so much peace and happiness. Again, I think about like this metaphor where it's God's hand out to this little girl, and she's holding on to like dear life to a teddy bear. And you know, God just like pretty much asking, like, do you trust me? And she's just holding on like, but God, like, this is my teddy bear, you know, it's like so cute and cozy. And what she doesn't see and doesn't know is that God has a bigger and much better teddy bear behind his other arm. And so again, don't let this world confuse you and make you think like, oh, you're, you know, have all these rules, you're not having fun. It's the opposite. It's like God is trying to give us the full fulfillment, the true happiness, the true joy, the blessing. He knows these people and these things will never fulfill us, and it's only making us go downhill. So again, it takes time, you know. I can't stress enough, like I said, to forgive yourself, give yourself grace. But you know, and that's why you clicked on this video. You know that there are certain people and things that you have to let go of and that you need to stop doing. And so I pray over you that as you watch this video, you receive some guidance, you receive some helpful tips. As you watch this video, you're going to be taking the next steps to really let go and to heal those wounds, to cut free from those toxic behaviors and people. I pray that as you're watching this video and as you watch this video, that you grow closer to God, knowing that when we surrender to him, we find the true joy, peace, and fulfillment of life. I pray that all who's watching this video know that they are loved, that they are enough, they are exactly where they're meant to be. And yeah, I'm proud of you. And that is all for this week's video. As always, I hope that it resonated with at least one person. Feel free to subscribe. It's free. Like, just hit the button below. And yeah, without further ado, that's all, and I'll see you in the next one.